Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Siffco and I'm going to be talking about InZOI. PUBG released a live sim game today in early access. Before its release, it became the #1 most wishlisted game on Steam. I made a video a few days ago about the backstory of The Sims 3 and The Sims 4 and why there's a huge crave for a game like InZOI. In this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts and first impressions on the full release. So let's get into it. I played this on RTX 3080 and a Ryzen 9. So you start off, of course, making your character, designing it to be like you, or designing it to be a better you, or just whatever you want to be, and having fun. It's going to be really hard to not compare it to The Sims because The Sims for a long time has had no competition and quite literally defined the genre. So if you hear me compare it to The Sims a lot, that's because I love The Sims. I played a lot of The Sims and I wanted to succeed too, but their DLC prices have been insane, and for a long time they weren't even on Steam, and Sims 4 eventually became free, and there's just a whole backstory. But like I said, I made a video about that and I just don't want to get into that, but I'm going to talk about this game right now and its release. So you create your character or your family, whatever you want, and you got 2 cities to choose from. There's 3, but you can only select 2, and again, it's early access, so they'll probably have that extra city at some point. And I decided to choose Bliss Bay. Why? Because it reminds me a lot of Santa Monica, and that's kind of around the area I grew up, or the area I visited, and going to the pier, it's exactly Santa Monica inspired. And plus, who doesn't want to live in the fresh air around the beach? There's a bunch of different areas to choose from. I like the layout that it has, demonstrate all the locations and the houses. And of course, I picked the one closest by the beach, and it actually really wasn't as expensive as the other locations, which is kind of wild. They should make it more expensive to move at the beach, but that's the one I picked, and so I was able to have 5,000 left. And before I go further, InZOI released a create a character like months ago. A few weeks ago, they released a build mode where you can play around with these things, so I was able to create my character a long time ago, which made it a lot easier to jump in and play and experience the rest of the game fully. If you want Shadowheart as your wife or as your friend, I created a version of Shadowheart a long time ago, like months ago, because I knew someone was gonna do it, so I wanted to be first, and there you go. So search my name on InZOI if you happen to want to do that, and then you can have Shadowheart in the game. So yeah, once you got your house, your bed, and everything you need to live on, it's time to get familiar with the systems, to get familiar with the UI. And of course, you got your hunger, your hygiene, sleep. Everything's just like The Sims. There seems to be some balancing requirements. There needs to be some balancing, because maybe it's the trait and things that I picked, but I get a little hungrier than normal, and it just seemed like every once in a while I'm just getting really hungry, and so I had to eat a lot. But again, if you played a lot of The Sims, it's gonna feel pretty familiar. You're going to want to get a job, you're going to want to make money, and you're going to want to improve and move up and start a family and keep on going and experiencing stories. Now, the game runs smooth on my 3080. At the end of the day, I played with a bunch of settings and I decided to go with DLAA and honestly cap it on 30 frames per second, leaving it at 30 frames per second. But once I did that, I can have ray tracing up and everything. And the reason I say that is because it's just, even though frames are fine, it still needs optimization, because if you go to native, because what AI does, what the DLSS does, is it creates the fake frames, the AI frames, and so sometimes you'll be able to see ghosting, and as things move quickly, and if you're paying attention enough. And so I try to go to native, but it's just so distorted. So there's something going on that they haven't worked on yet. Because if you're playing this in 4K, you have to play this with DLSS on. There's just no other way. Now, there's not a huge difference from DLAA to DLSS performance mode, so I'll just leave that up to you. But again, I played this on the 3080 and the Ryzen 9 in a 4K. Nothing really changes if you turn off ray tracing. I mean, it looks different. It just depends on your taste. And the frame rates really didn't go that much lower or higher. There really wasn't that much change for me, and so that's why I settled on the DLAA at 4K 30 frames, and with some other tweaks. Maybe I'll put it on the screen on what my settings were, or you can always ask me in the comments. I'm happy to answer those questions. And again, it's not perfect. It runs smooth, but there's things like when you're washing dishes, whether the camera's far or up close, there will be some like ghosting and just some like weird graphical I don't know, glitches or things that just aren't really optimized. And it does take away from the immersion. The Sims doesn't have that issue at all. And so those things need to be refined and optimized. And it's all has to do with the AI and AI generation that happens with DLSS. And so hopefully it's in early access, but hopefully it can be fixed. But honestly, it's not a huge deal because it is in early access. And if you're playing it with far away or whatnot, I really basically it didn't affect my gameplay hugely. Basically wasn't a huge deal breaker for me, but it's definitely on the list of something that needs to be improved on moving forward. So once I started getting familiar with the systems, I started to walk around and just check out the frames. And a really cool thing got me excited where the WASD keys on your keyboard move your character. And if you press shift, the character runs. And I just thought that was so cool. I don't know if The Sims does it. It's been a long time since I've played, but the fact that you can just run on command like that and not having to click, I don't know, it just felt more natural for me. I enjoyed it, and that's something I just like to do. Even though you're in a big city, the city does feel empty. There's just the same people that come around, the same person that comes around. If you go to the coffee shop, you'll see the same people, and if you go to the beach, you might see that same person. If you go to the fast food restaurant, you'll see the same people. And so it just feels really small. It feels about the same and kind of like a choreographed city kind of setting and population. When you talk to other Zois or InZOIs, it's a lot like The Sims. So much so that when you hear them speak, they are speaking Slimish or Simsglish or whatever it is, the Sims language. And you just hear them talk and you're just like, bro, I'm playing The Sims right now. It's pretty crazy. I decided to check out the pier, and a lot of it really reminds me of Santa Monica. It just blows my mind. I have to talk about it. And I decided to go in the carousel, and the carousel, when you get on it, it goes into first person. That's a no bueno. That is no good. No thank you. I don't know why in the world it would go into first person, but that's something that I don't like about the game, and it should just be third person all the time. And that's just what the life sim genre is, and that's what I like. I got off the carousel and walked around, and then I was like, all right, it's time to get a job, make some money, and just see the progression and how things are, because that's just a part of the life. You need money to buy a car and to get around and to go on dates and all these extra things, right? Money, yes. Money, good. So I got a job at the good old fast food restaurant to just kind of test things out and see how things are. And just like The Sims, you pick up your phone, you can look at the careers category and sign up for a job. When it's time to go to work, you head over and you get onto a bus, and there is a loading screen. You get in the bus, it loads, and then it takes you to your location, and then you're able to go to work. That's something that needs to change. The Sims 3 had it perfect, where you could get on your bike because you couldn't afford a car, or you get on the bus and you can see the bus take you along onto your location, and you get off, and it's just a seamless transition into getting to work into other various locations. Now, with that said, you can walk there, and you could walk there. It's very, honestly, it feels like Grand Theft Auto, where you're just walking around and the camera's close, and that just gives me those kind of vibes. I know it's a weird comparison, but if you ever walked around the city in Grand Theft Auto, I'm not doing bad things, you know what I mean, just checking out the landscape and stuff, it gets that kind of vibe. So here's the big difference from InZOI compared to Sims. And again, I haven't played The Sims in a long time, and their DLC prices were really overpriced, and so I could never buy them. And I know there was like a business one where you could have a business and serve your customers and all this stuff. I always wanted to do that, but I just couldn't afford it at the time. And so what InZOI does is you work your job, you do your job. So I'm in this fast food place, and I used to work at a fast food place a long time ago, and it brought back memories when the objective was put on your uniform and stand by the kiosk or the point of service, the POS, and do your job. And so you had to be there in the morning, and I think it said for like 3 hours. So you sat there. So you stood there for like 3 hours doing your job, and the fast forwarding mechanic is not fast enough. It really doesn't do much to speed things up faster. And so yeah, you have to do your job. You stand at the kiosk, you clean 3 tables, you clean the store 3 times, you take out the trash, you ask customers how their food was, and that goes on from like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That's insane, bro. So I couldn't wait to clock off, you know what I'm saying? Once I got off, I made some friends with the coworkers, but I got my $271 and I went home and I was like, okay, I think I know what this game is about, and honestly, I want to play more. Now, again, I played a lot of The Sims 3 and 4, and I just stopped playing for a while because, you know, after a while you just get burnt out of Sims games. But this game's different and it does need work, as I said before, but a lot of it's pretty much like The Sims, and I pretty much know what this game's going to be about. I'm pretty interested to keep on playing. It's in early access. We're going to keep developing it. They're going to be releasing DLCs for free. That's going to be good. But finally, is it good? Does it dethrone The Sims? Well, no, The Sims is just a beast. The Sims has been around for a long time and they just know what they're doing. If they were to make a Sims 5 right now with these realistic graphics, people would forget about InZOI pretty quick. But the issue is there's options. And if you don't like the overpriced DLCs or the money grabbing that they've done over the years and the cutting content with no cars and all this stuff, you are going to have an option in InZOI. It's got potential. It runs fine like I'd experienced. The gameplay is a lot like The Sims. And again, The Sims defined the genre, just like PUBG defined the Battle Royale genre, where everyone did Battle Royale the same way. Some of the gameplay elements in InZOI are going to be like The Sims. And that's not a bad thing. I found it really easy to get into. I mean, it took a little bit. Some things were different, but it wasn't hard. And there's some things to improve on. But overall, it's got really good potential. And honestly, I had a decent time playing it. And I look forward to playing some more. And that's the video. Those were my thoughts and first impressions about InZOI. Let me know what you think. If there's something that I missed, is something that you enjoyed, I would love to hear it in the comments. I just love nerding out with other nerds, other people. I don't know. I don't want to call you a nerd if you think that's offensive. But yeah, I had a decent time with InZOI, and you know, is it a dethroner to The Sims? Of course not, but hopefully it dethrones those overpriced DLCs and price gouging stuff. I'll leave some raw gameplay here at the end, and if you want to see more, I did do a quick live stream on it, you know, some more raw gameplay and just rough thoughts, because I was genuinely excited about it. There were some things happening that I liked, and so I was just, you know what, I'm just going to stream. So that's the video. Thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming.
Yassi, Alora Ben Laura, Quibic Clay.
Lumo Naruti.